Line, it messed up.
Miss Lee, Mr. Frost, and South Middle School students. In recognition of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s holiday, the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders will present a musical and historic presentation in his honor. Thank you for being a good audience. Now, lift every voice and sing. American colonies declared their freedom against Great Britain. In the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson wrote that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Jefferson declared that all citizens have the right to be free from oppression and equal opportunities in pursuing their goals. These ideals have been called the American dream.
To best achieve these ideals, the people of the U.S. developed a government along the democratic principles in which people choose who will lead them and which laws shall guide them. The Constitution is the document that tells how leaders are to be chosen and how laws are to be made. Laws can usually be changed when a majority of people vote to do so.
However, in the new government, slaves were not given the same rights as white people. They were not given the opportunity to choose their leaders or live the lives they wanted to. Yet, there were some people, mostly in the North, who wanted the slaves to be free, but there was not a majority of them who felt that way. Most states in the North had outlawed slavery. Free blacks in the North had more rights than slaves in the South, but they still did not have as many rights as white people did.
Freeing the slaves was a large issue in the Civil War. After that war, the slaves were finally given their freedom through amendments to the Constitution. The 13th Amendment outlawed slavery in the United States. The 14th Amendment gave blacks United States citizenship, and the 15th Amendment gave them the right to vote. Blacks became free citizens of the United States, but many whites were not happy with this change. They felt that blacks should not be treated as equal citizens to whites. They passed laws to keep whites and blacks apart.
In 1896, the Supreme Court decided in Plessy versus Ferguson that the separate but equal facilities legalized in the South did not violate the 14th Amendment. Thus, blacks cannot work with the whites, live in the same neighborhood as the whites, or send our children to the same schools as whites. Even so, black people throughout the nation contributed to the betterment of the country.
After World War II, many people felt that new laws were needed. In 1954, the Supreme Court of the United States ruled that black and whites can go to the same schools, saying that separate but equal schools were entirely unequal. However, many people still did not want to change. It took a strong leader, a leader who believed in peace and justice to win freedom for black Americans. Martin Luther King Jr. was the man.
Between 1955 and 1968, Martin Luther King Jr. helped change Americans. He brought to the country's attention how unfairly blacks were treated. Martin Luther King Jr. had help of millions of Americans, but his leadership gave people the faith and courage to work peacefully even when others did not. This led to new laws keeping people of different backgrounds apart, making life fair for everyone.
On the morning of August 1968, dawned warm and sultry in Washington, D.C. From the window of his room in the Willard Hotel, a stocky man with a trimmed mustache stood and watched the sunrise. He, a black minister from Georgia, had been up all night preparing a speech while his wife slept in an adjacent room. Only minutes earlier, the speech had been finished, and it was rushed to be typed and duplicated for the press.
It was to be an important day for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and for the United States of America, one that he hoped would lead to furthering an important cause. He devoted the last 7 years to fighting for the rights of blacks in the South and had been jailed more than a dozen times for his efforts. He believed that through television and other media coverage, he and his fellow workers were beginning to arouse national interest and sympathy.
Today, he was scheduled to be the last speaker at a mass march and rally in front of the Lincoln Memorial. The great monument was erected in tribute to the president who abolished slavery exactly 100 years later.
Thunderous applause greeted King as he approached the podium. He spoke of Lincoln and his momentous degree as a beacon light of hope. But he remained the crowd. The black man still was not free. He was crippled by segregation and isolated by poverty in a land of immense material wealth.
America will always remember the work of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Each year on the third Monday in January, we celebrate his birthday.
And on this day, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said,
I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slaves owners will one day sit together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that my 4 little children will once live in a nation where they not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. When we let freedom ring from every village and every hamlet, every state and every city, we will be able to speed up the day when all God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing the old Negro spiritual. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
And now we shall overcome.
Don't forget your part way